Welcome back to the Future of Real Estate. I'm Brett Ellis of the Ellis team at RE/MAX Realty Group. Don't forget, you can always call us at 239-489-4042 or visit our website at topagent.com. With us today is special guest Jack Frost. Last week we had him on the show, and we were talking about all kind of ways that he tests for and what it actually means and Chinese drywall versus American drywall and South American drywall and all kind of things, and very informative show. In fact, we're going to leave those archives up on our website. Just go to topagent.com and click on the Future Real Estate page, and we'll have those links there as well. Jack, welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much, Brett. Appreciate it. Good to be back.
I wanted to get into when you actually find it, how it affects people's lives and where you go from there. Now, I'm sure you've been to some homes. In fact, I think we've got a graphic here of a home you were in, and actually in Fort Myers, right?
Yes, that's in Fort Myers here, Brett, that was determined that they had defective drywall.
They left a message at the home. But if I can read that, it says, "Welcome to our dream home. 35 years of hard, tough sacrifice. A sad, sad day. 6/19, I don't know if that's 0409, Brett and Wendy." Mm-hmm. So obviously, they had some frustration. They must have found some Chinese drywall.
Absolutely. We find it true, Brett. You go into a home, and some of these families have been devastated. They bought the home, they've worked all their lives, and especially in this community, sometimes they've worked all their lives up north for that dream home that they're going to come and purchase in Florida and live here for the rest of their lives and enjoy it immensely. Well, sometimes when you find it's got this sulfur smell and corrosion, then it's Chinese drywall, then your dream home becomes a nightmare.
This whole problem snuck up on us. In fact, people didn't even know to be even looking out for this kind of thing. It was all of a sudden there were a few smells in some homes. No one knew what it was. And you hear this phenomenon called Chinese drywall. Agents didn't know about it. Bankers didn't know about it. Builders didn't even know about it until it became a problem.
Correct. And for the most part, it occurred in 2006 is when we had the building boom in the United States, in particular here in Southwest Florida. And then Katrina hit. And there was not enough drywall being made domestically, and so therefore they had to go get Chinese drywall from another manufacturer, and it just hadn't be Chinese.
Now, as you said last week, though, not all Chinese drywall is bad, and not all American Chinese drywall is good.
That's correct,
but
Brett.
By and large, it's kind of a rule of thumb.
Yeah, by and large, but you got to understand that drywall has been imported from China since the earliest records I've seen is around 1999, 1998, and it's been brought in, but just in smaller quantities. My particular testing, I have seen Chinese defective drywall, tainted drywall, as early as 2001. Some of my colleagues have said they've seen it in 1999, but I can't confirm that. It's just that at the height of the marketplace, 2006, of the building boom.
Why don't you show the gun that you used to test this with?
Okay, Brett, this is what we showed last week, of course. This is the X-ray gun.
Okay.
And this is X-ray that shoots directly through the wall. And as you can see, as we showed last week, you simply pull the trigger, and within seconds, and I've got this one set to do 5 seconds, you're actually testing the drywall. And we're testing for the element strontium. Strontium has been determined by all of the reports, and there are 3 reports out there. One by Unified Engineering, the Environmental Protection Agency, and the latest and biggest is by the Consumer Product Safety Commission, that when you find the higher levels of strontium, it is defective or tainted drywall. Let me say one more thing to your audience here, Brett. A lot of people may tell you they know a lot about Chinese drywall, but make sure that you look for reputable sources. And the 3 sources that I recommend, and anything that I say, you can confirm either on the Florida Department of Health website, the EPA website, or the Consumer Product Safety Commission website.
Okay, great. That's good information. Now, what do you do to remediate this?
Okay.
Say you got it. What do we do?
Now you've got it. Now, testing for it and determining is one thing, but now you got to remediate. First of all, I'll say that there is no acceptable state or federal protocol. Protocol means what you're going to do, how you start, and how you end in the actual remediation of this drywall.
So what do a lot of people do?
Well, certain manufacturers of homes, and one of them I guess I can mention here on the show is Lennar, has stepped up to the table, and they are remediating homes as we speak today. They bring an environmental company in, they test for the ambient air and several tests, and then they bring in a reputable contractor to tear the home down to the studs, and I'll go through that a little bit in just a moment, and then they rebuild it. There are 3 or 4 independent protocols out there. One of them is by the BESI, which is up in in Gainesville, which is the Building Envelope Science Institute, which I'm trained by, as a matter of fact, as a drywall consultant and remediator. And there's a couple other protocols that are out. All of them follow sort of the basic principle. Most of them, if you find any Chinese drywall, then you tear all the drywall out of the home. So the first question that many people ask me, well, you only find a certain amount of drywall, like maybe it's in the foyer or in one of the rooms. Can I partially remediate? The standard today is no partial remediation. If you find any Chinese drywall,
because some bad drywall can infect some of the good drywall.
Well, let's say cross-contamination rather than infection. The off-gassing, which is hydrogen sulfide, penetrates anything that breathes. And so if you have one piece of bad drywall against another piece, the likelihood, and again, this is not...
The good drywall actually breathes. It breathes it in, basically.
Well, anything that is porous can breathe. The wood, the brick, anything can breathe in and out, and a normal home breathes.
What about cabinets?
Cabinets can breathe as well, but a lot of times if you have the surface which has been prepared, in other words, if you took a 2x4 which had no preparation, no stain, no paint on it, it breathes normally.
If you treat
it with shellac, for example, like a lot of cabinets have a laminate cover over them or a shellac on them, and you can probably save those because they would not have been infected or been cross-contaminated by the hydrogen sulfide from tainted drywall.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so therefore, but the rule of thumb again, and to be perfectly safe, is you take all the drywall out, and then you take even the electrical out, because remember, this hydrogen sulfide is very corrosive, and copper wiring wiring is copper, and so it's corrosive. So you take the wiring out, you take the insulation out. In other words, you take all of the drywall out, all the way down to the studs.
What about the plumbing, the pipes?
Well, most of that is PVC.
Okay.
Now, I'm getting a little out of my field here. I'm not a contractor, but of course, we'll talk about how to get a contractor in a few moments here. And I do have a contracting company, and my son-in-law, Rich, is a contractor. We'll talk about that in a moment. So if you're going to do this job, of course, hire a reputable, in good standing, certified contractor to do the job. And also make sure that they understand this problem. Because there have been quite a few instances which I can remember where people have taken out the drywall, put drywall back on, and it smells just as bad as it did before. And people say, well, how can that occur? Well, because they didn't let the house breathe. They didn't let it air out. So one of the protocols says that you allow the house, once you tear out all the drywall and you tear out all the insulation and all the various things, is you let it breathe for a period of 2 weeks or so. And remember, the hydrogen sulfide from the drywall off-gasses, and it'll penetrate wood and other surfaces which are porous. Well, it'll also, de-off-gas. In other words, it'll absorb and it'll come off again. So you let the house breathe without the contaminant in there. So you take the drywall off, you've removed the contaminant, the tainted drywall.
You could also have it in your plywood in your roofing.
It's possible.
But if you let it breathe, will it come out of that plywall? To some extent.
It's supposed to. The theory is, yes, it will after a period of time.
Got about a minute left.
Okay, one of the protocols, though, is that you heat the house up under negative pressure and drive the hydrogen sulfide gas off.
Okay.
That's one way of doing it. The others let it breathe for a couple of weeks. And in a couple of the remediation protocols, it's using a nanoparticle material, which you spray onto any exposed wood or brick, which will guard against any future off-gassing.
Do you have to take the insulation out of the attic too?
You should take it all out, yes.
Okay, great. Tell you what, we need to take a break.
Sure.
You've been listening and watching The Future of Real Estate. Jack, if people wanted to contact you, your phone number is?
Okay, then contact me for the testing, which is 727-224-9704. But if it's for remediation, they should contact a different number, which is Richard Christian's my partner. He's a general contractor, and that number is 239-337-2500.
And he's one of many contractors. We're not saying you have to use him.
He's one of many contractors. It's just make sure it's a certified, in good standing contractor that knows about Chinese drywall.
Great. You've been watching The Future of Real Estate. Thanks for being with us.